Ladies and gentlemen, Karibo Czech on the EU North East server is currently ranked the rank 1 JHIN in the world. This guy has a 71% win rate in 66 games played, so we definitely know that he is a higher elo player than Masters. Of course, I cannot tell you who this is, but the fact that his name is Karibo could be pointing towards a little bit of affiliation with the streaming scene, as obviously Karibo quite a big donator in the scene, and I think got first well known on LS's stream because he is some kind of very rich guy that tends to donate a lot of money. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, let's jump right into the rift, as Karibo Czech is going to be heading down into the bottom lane together with his support, a Vel'Koz support, facing off against a Ezreal and a Yuumi. Now, I think Vel'Koz probably a really good and slept on pairing together with JHIN, if you think about it, as 1W into JHIN W can set up for a huge CC and damage combo, right? But also, conversely, it's going to be difficult to play a poke lane into the Yuumi sometimes. So we will see how exactly this works, as obviously you only have one target, which means Ezreal knows that he's always the one that is being targeted by the Vel'Koz Qs. And oftentimes, you can sneak Vel'Koz Qs through by trying to pretend you were, targeting the support and then hitting the other player. Now, what Vel'Koz can do, even if he doesn't hit Qs, he still has a lot of zoning potential, and with his Ws, he's still able to proc his passive and do a decent amount of damage. But I would say that the strongest suit of this whole situation is the level 6. If you can proc, or if you can get Ezreal to use his E, and then you can follow up with an ult combo, you're gonna absolutely destroy. Very safe pathing here out of the Ezreal and the Yuumi. This cheese will not work. Vel'Koz smelled it first, as a Q is gonna come in, and note that this Q was a direct Q. This was not a trading Q. He straight up just went for it and it hit. Alright, we are doing a little bit of damage here to the Yuumi, which is okay. I mean, it's pretty decent, but also she's going to be untargetable for the more important parts of the lane, right? So the question is, how useful is that going to be? Very good trade here back by the Ezreal. This is exactly the problem, right? Is that Ezreal just retains that damage advantage here, as the double... You will tag him here. The level 2 is available. Vel'Koz kind of missing everything, though, and Ezreal's trading back very well. Ooh, that was a nasty Vel'Koz Q. You saw that? Absolutely nasty Vel'Koz Q. Alright, so, of course, we have to talk about the obvious, right? I think that Vel'Koz is... I think that JHIN is definitely a very good champion, but in the current meta, he tends to have a lot of weaknesses and tends to be played as a support kind of champion, right? Where, of course, yeah, he's an AD carry. Yeah, he's going to do the damage, but he's not going to be a hyper carry that you base everything around. And then he also has, obviously, the weakness of still not being self-sufficient in that very much. So he obviously has quite a bit of weaknesses when it comes to the positioning and stuff. So can struggle versus champions like the Zed, like the Annie, like these kind of champions. So you gotta hold off on the fights, play them from very far behind, oftentimes use your ultimate, and then follow the fights. And so this is very interesting because, and this is something that I want to talk about JHIN builds, right? There is a video that I recently watched on JHIN builds, as a flash will come through, and we are going to find the all-in here onto the Yuumi. The exhaust onto the Ezreal will be procced, and we are able to pick up one kill here from the get-go, but we used a lot of resources. Ezreal still has his flash available, and I think we should just take a leave here, but maybe we aren't. if you get locked into this lane, then you have a problem, because one thing that one thing that Yuumi is very good at is going to be regenning up the Ezreal now and helping him out. The thing is here, right? That Vel'Koz usually is very good at keeping up the lane pressure and pushing out. Not here, because he doesn't have any mana. JHIN, please, mate. Playing it a little bit aggressive here, the JHIN. Ezreal will take his leave now. So will JHIN, which means the bot lane is just going to stay perfectly where it is. Left over to the RNG gods of the minions. So, what I was talking about, right, is that JHIN is a pretty nutty champion. And there are some builds that are available on him. And I wanted to talk about them a little bit because I think that is actually super interesting. And that is the Kraken Slayer build, right? So, Kraken Slayer and also Berserker Boots are items that you wouldn't necessarily see often on JHIN, as JHIN has a locked attack speed rate. However, what JHIN does is he converts that into movement speed, for example, after crits. And so the interesting thing here is that, for example, Berserker Boots are actually better than Boots of Swiftness when it comes to the movement speed right after a crit. So if you manage to attack, you will be able to, after that, move away faster with about, I think, 20 movement speed it was. Faster than before, which also gives you bonus AD scaling, right? That's that. Then Kraken Slayer has the same thing going for it. Why does Kraken Slayer have the same thing going for it? Because Kraken Slayer also gives passive attack speed 10% per legendary item, which scales JHIN up to a very, very scary point. So the justification for the build of Kraken Slayer and beautiful Q by the Vel'Koz. The justification for the build of Kraken Slayer is that obviously you will get more attack speed. You get the empowered auto attack, the third empowered auto attack, which you're obviously not going to proc that much, but that's fine. However, you are still, which is, you know, the point, you are still going to proc it every now and then. So that's going to give you more damage, plus the bonus AD that you receive from the attack speed. And thus, Kraken Slayer actually does make sense on JHIN. And actually works. Which is very, very good. So from this point on, public service announcement, if you see a JHIN in your game, I have been one of those bonobos, by the way. If you see a JHIN in your game that's building Kraken, don't ask about the build. Don't flame him. Just know that it is his decision, and it is a valid decision, just like Kraken Slayer and Gale Force would be on something like a Jinx, right? Where Kraken Slayer is going to give you bonus damage, but which is also very important, the Gale Force is going to give you that ability to reposition. So on that basis, you can still argue, obviously, right? But Kraken Slayer, definitely a valid item on JHIN. So, yeah. If there's anything else that you would like to see, by the way, I would love for you to just comment. Tell me what you want to see, which kind of build. Maybe we can do a Kraken Slayer JHIN. Kind of analyze that. So, just hit me up with that in the comment section below, and we will have a chat about it. Okay, so we have back to bot lane fast. I don't want to know what's going on there. Can't be healthy. All right, so yeah, this is the scariest part. The scariest part is how this bot lane is able to set up kills from very far away. And they do work very well in theme with the Zoe as well, so not too bad. Okay, that's the Vel'Koz ultimate. Absolutely good, but Ezreal will be able to answer that as JHIN now. With his ultimate is going to finish off the Yuumi. And we'll take that kill with him, as we did trade 1 for 2, which, you know, is a good trade. But I think that could have also been a little bit safer there, given the fact that the JHIN ultimate was available. It ended up being what it is. Riven going down once again. This Riven is absolutely tilted. I mean, we saw it just now. As Mr. JHIN is gonna pick up a Coldfield's Warhammer and a Serrated Dirk, which probably is going to be a Eclipse. Could also be a Dustblade, but I'm not really expecting that. And it's definitely not going to be a Prowler's Claw, because let's be honest, Prowler's Claw, not really the item that you want to build on JHIN. I'm like thinking, is there any circumstance under which you could go Prowlers? Not really. Maybe if you're fed and you're playing versus like some kind of all-in champion. Maybe. Because you can Prowler's Claw through them, I guess. Yeah, but not really. I mean, you know, the defensive value of Eclipse is pretty great. And, ooh, oh, this combo is so nasty. Yeah, you see what I'm talking about? Oh, man. One of these hits their CC and it is just over. Okay, well, Zoe's not having the best of times, but I'm pretty sure that once she starts to play around together with the JHIN ultimate, it's going to be much better for her, as that long range slow is very useful. Okay. So JHIN ultimate comes out, the EQ will catch JHIN, it will catch Ezreal, and thus JHIN is able to pick that one up. And Senpai has slain the Yuumi. Alright, this Herald is going to take down the turret very easily. You can stop hitting it. Okay. Don't, I guess. As we want to get off the second charge. Should be very possible here. Yeah, it's going to be very possible. As in the top lane, unfortunately Set not able to take down the turret here just before the first blood of the turret in the bottom lane. But this game stays interesting. I mean, given the fact that this Set is still very far ahead, and Set definitely not a champion that doesn't have any impact on the game, so should be very interesting still. Set can run you over very quickly, so we'll see what happens once he joins the fights. Annie also doing very well here. So, I mean, very well given the circumstances, right? Given the matchup, I would say that she is doing pretty good. She's gotten a lot of platings and has a decent gold advantage here. Okay. So, the dragon will be attacked here. Obviously, we already have two dragons. Two dragons are really good at pressuring out something like the Ezreal into fighting later on, and you always have to consider that obviously with a Zoe you are kind of locked into the earlier parts of the game. Riven's gonna take her way to the bottom side here and play around the dragon here. It's gonna guard this all out from the Lee Sin. I have no idea what this Riven is doing. Absolutely breaking me. Oh, JHIN will find that ultimate, and the JHIN W is going to come out as well. Now JHIN, though, under a lot of pressure and will be taken down here by Lee Sin. As JHIN will be taken down as well. Beautiful counter trade here by the Vel'Koz, as he will take down the JHIN. The Ezreal, man. It's Ezreal. Man. This guy. This caster guy, dude. So clueless. Ugh. What a budget mid-beast he is. Like, budget. Ugh. Alright. Well. So, I think things stay even more interesting now after this fight, because you can see that the blue team definitely has some chances to clap back here. Vel'Koz found a really good kill there. Very interesting build by Vel'Koz, as he's going to go for the Shadow Fire first. Combined with that Oblivion Orb, so that's very interesting. It's definitely going to be a like very, very aggressive support build, which, you know, means that he will also be taking XP in comparison to some other supports that at this point would just be roaming and kind of staying level 7, like a Annie, for example, or something like that. Yeah, this set is still quite the issue. Wow. Well, Riven absolutely griefing as... I love Vel'Koz, dude. Vel'Koz looks so good. Well, Vel'Koz gonna find that R onto the Lee Sin and just blow him up. Has Shadow Fire now, which is very interesting, because Shadow Fire gives you magic penetration, which, you know, you would think isn't that good on Vel'Koz because of his passive. That will proc true damage on every 3rd hit. But, you know, his base abilities still benefit from the M-Pen, even though they usually, except the Q, they usually are just tools to proc the passive. But it is what it is, as Annie is going to find an all-in here onto the Zoe. Big shutdown available for that one, as well as Annie now definitely going to take the lead here when it comes to the gold. And yeah, can try to take some gold here, but not possible. As what is the item going to be? Just a Hextech alternator? What? Okay. How? I'm so confused. How does she not have more money than this? I'm super confused. What the hell? Alright. So Vel'Koz is pretty good against Set, just from a champion perspective, right? Vel'Koz is super, super good at melting down something like a Set frontline. And of course, I don't think that Jarvan is going to struggle too much with Set as well. And if this set becomes way too scary, you can always do the thing where you Jarvan ult and then just E out and let Set sit in there for a while. Think about his choices. But, you know, conversely, right, if Set catches you out and dunks you into the JHIN and the Vel'Koz, it also can be very game deciding. Because obviously Ezreal Yuumi, definitely no slouch of a bot lane combo. It's always scary as the JHIN ultimate will come out. But Set doesn't really care about it, just tickled by it. As Annie will be traded for the Jarvan. Ooh, unfortunately the bot lane will not hit their CCs as Lee Sin is going to find the all-in here. And make it possible for Ezreal to follow up and kill the Vel'Koz already. As JHIN will be able to stay alive for now. Riven now finding a kill onto the JHIN as well, as Set is going to... The JHIN. Why is everyone JHIN today? Oh my god. The Lee Sin, of course. Holy moly. As the Collector. Collector is an absolute dog item, dude. You saw how Collector didn't even work on that. Like, man, Collector, dude. Not the item. Not the freaking item, man. Generally, lethality JHIN builds, what they do is they signify that the player wants to play safe and not uses auto attacks a lot, but uses ultimate during fights. And that, you know, makes a lot of sense versus something like the Lee Sin, like the set like the Annie. But, of course, the other thing is that Lee Sin can also just flank around and find you and kill you. Which is an issue. Ooh, good damage found onto the Lee Sin. Lee Sin will trade himself for the Vel'Koz, but will go down, which means the dragon now will go over here to the red team. Zed unfortunately not making it in time. Does have Heartsteel now in his inventory. I mean, we'll see how well that goes. It's a pretty late Heartsteel with laning phase being over. It could be very hard to proc that. Very hard. Ha! Yeah. So we will see. Riven, I mean, you know, interestingly enough, is not absolutely griefing the fights. Did manage to take down the Lee Sin, which is quite good for her, of course. But still a very aggressive player, and now the Ravenous Hydra is stacked, which gives it maximum value. That's pretty nice. Ezreal. Gotta be careful, gotta be careful. This combo can deal a lot of damage to Ezreal from afar, these three. So imagine like any type of combo like a Vel'Koz W, which is almost instant, into a JHIN W, then you just get bubbled, then you get knocked up, and you're just like... I'm pretty sure that combo could kill Set at this point. Like, that is pretty rough. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Set currently 160 CS to his name. Not too bad, nothing stellar, but he's definitely a force to be reckoned with here with his Heartsteel and his Blade of the Rune King. Once the Titanic Hydra is out, it's gonna be even scarier. As we are looking for something, but not gonna find it. Soul Bubble also not gonna find its target. As we are now a little bit balling up here. And try and catch maybe the Zed, maybe the Lee Sin. We will catch out the Lee Sin. That is Lee Sin going down, and now... Oh, Zed, you are in a lot of trouble. As the JHIN ultimate will come out. The Vel'Koz ultimate will come out as well. Oh, that JHIN. Oh, that JHIN. Oh, that shot should have hit. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, well, he will go down anyhow. So it's totally fine. As Jarvan also really nice against the Zed, obviously with the Black Cleavers. Gonna help out JHIN quite a bit. Annie, so scary. But will not be able to take down the JHIN. But in the bottom lane now, Riven is going to be able to take down that turret. Or is she? No, she is not. Lee Sin will be showing up quick enough with Annie in his back. So Riven should probably be a little bit careful here. The kick comes through, and that is probably a dead Riven. Yeah, as the Q lands, and that is bye-bye Riven. And bye-bye stacks for her. 9. Top lane tower gets taken down. Ezreal doesn't cancel anyone. As he doesn't even use Twitter. Sorry. Let's be honest. I mean, this game is totally winnable still for both sides. So it will stay interesting. Definitely a lead here for the red team. But, you know, we also have an Ezreal on the enemy team who is about to build a Kraken Slayer, which is quite the scary item. Ezreal also very good at like turning it up and all of the sudden jumping onto something like the JHIN Vel'Koz. very slippery, able to outrun something like the Riven, able to out jump the Ezreal, the Jarvan. So generally not too bad. As we are going to ult the Lee Sin, unfortunately, that will get us into a lot of trouble and unfortunately. The Zoe Q got stuck on a minion there. What a tragedy, huh? Good idea by Jarvan, but unfortunately didn't quite work out the way it was supposed to. Ooh, set flash. That's a big flash. Annie now in a lot of trouble. Can we hit a Jhin ultimate? This one should hit now. Very early, but Seraphine has a word to say about the outcome of the last fight and will pick up a double kill for herself. With even more flashes at her exposure. Now, JHIN has returned, which means it is a 50-50 once again. But given the vision here, should be pretty difficult for Lee Sin to catch that 50% chance, as he will be taken down on the way to the dragon. And the dragon goes down, and now the Baron is open with absolutely no defense. Like, I don't think that the blue team is going to be able to defend this, as Set will have to stay in the bottom lane, so that means that only Annie and Ezreal are going to be able to get there. And I mean, red team isn't the fastest at taking this objective, so potentially there is going to be some ability to fight this. But yeah, seems like the blue team's just giving it up. I think they could have actually tried. Ezreal ultimate together with the Annie ultimate could actually have wreaked a lot of havoc there. Yeah, I don't know. I think that Annie and Ezreal could have done something about it, but it is what it is. As the Baron will go over now to the red team here in JHIN. With that Hextech Dragon ultimate as well is going to be quite the menace. I mean, any first ultimate strike is going to slow the target, setting up for a next one. I mean, slow the target for even more. And so on, so definitely not too bad. As Riven, little bit of the freedom that only Fool can have, right? Can just kind of do and dick around and do all kinds of things, as she's not really that vital anymore to the win condition. Of course, if she was gonna go AFK or something, that would be a problem, but fight's not gonna be lost just because she ends up going down. As Vel'Koz is gonna find a little bit of poke, and you can see how the Vel'Koz Q into W can set up for a nasty all-in, and you know, generally how this combo operates. Honestly, not a bad combo. Very aggressive combo. Very difficult to deal with. Questionable Jhin W here. As, Lee Sin will be taken down here by the Zoe, but Annie finds the instant trade. Instant trade back, but now Annie doesn't have her ultimate available for a potential team fight, which is pretty rough. Ezreal now gonna hit an ultimate, very good ultimate onto the Vel'Koz, proccing his barrier here as well. Making him proc the barrier, as actually, yeah, the Set will be taken down during his ult animation here by the Vel'Koz. This is exactly what I talked about with him melting it, and JHIN will just move in even further under the turret, try to pick up a kill onto the Yuumi. Yuumi now coming down with the double kill here, because people are way too greedy. And that wasn't too bad. You know, if we just ignore what happened in the end there, that was a pretty decent outcome. Ooh, Riven gonna try to look for that, but nope. Just gets kicked in the face. Taken down. It is what it is. Ooh, and Riven actually had shutdown gold now. It's gonna be gone. Eclipse here built as well. A lot of eclipses this game. As JHIN finally getting a little bit of getting a couple of items here that have some crit on them as well. It's going to be dealing a good amount of damage, and also something that I forgot to mention, right, has Dark Harvest currently with 15 Dark Harvest stacks. I think it was like 11 Dark Harvest stacks, where it starts to deal a little bit more damage than the Electrocute, and like 15-ish where it starts to be worth it. So we are probably at that point right now, and interestingly enough, you know, about the rune, at this point the game's kind of over, isn't it? I mean, I'm not sure, but I just don't see a lot of potential here anymore, because at this point the gold gap has grown quite a bit, and Lee Sin is starting to fall off heavily here. Very desperate with his build as well. Is gonna build now a GA over his Hydra completion. Set in the span that Riven got 2 full items, has been able to build out his Titanic Hydra and get 50 HP bonus from the hard steel, which, you know, isn't really anything. As Set is gonna look for the Riven. Riven will find the solo kill here onto the Lee Sin and move out of the way, as the Set flash ultimate will unfortunately mean that he also doesn't really have any engage tools onto the Jhin here, which is a Vel'Koz, by the way, but everyone's Jhin today. Ooh, gotta be a little bit careful there, Riven, but it's fine. Yeah, and as you can see, the problem is that at this point, Vel'Koz has so much damage. Jhin has so much damage. And, I mean, you know, Zoe has been able to get a lot of kills as well. And so, you know, it's just a whole situation. And Riven, by the way. Riven's been able to come back very well when it comes to the money, right? Has a lot of money now, in comparison. And if you consider where she started out the laning phase, then that's pretty rough. Ooh. Okay. Well, I mean, that's what I'm talking about, right? Lee Sin building only lethality items is obviously going to be super squishy. Didn't even realize we have 2 black cleavers on the team, which means the armor pen is going to be very high on Jhin, which, I mean, doesn't really matter because there's not really any armor on the enemy team, but, you know, less base armor, I guess. It's something, isn't it? All right, well, I mean, I think at this point the game's going to be very rough. Ezreal doesn't really have a lot of openings anymore, and the Set is not really the stat checker that he used to be. It's going to be very difficult for him to just like walk into the fight, as now he will be taking so much damage here from the Jhin, from the Vel'Koz, and the Zoe. Pharah will be attacked here by the red team and dealing a lot of damage to it. The Jhin ultimate now coming out, but we are not able to find the Lee Sin. Not able to find the Set. The Baron will be taken down though. Riven definitely flirting with death here a little bit with 3 people on the enemy team. Annie with a loaded up Tibbers here is gonna be... Why? What are you doing, mate? Alright, well... Too bad. Ezreal's still standing strong, but now... I mean, yeah, he gets tagged by one ability and he's just dead. There they go! Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. And if you enjoyed it and you made it to this point, then you should probably press on the subscribe button as well, yeah? Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay awesome!